Picture this. You're in the woods of southern Illinois, just hiking to your heart's content, spending some time enjoying the beautiful parks and scenery, when suddenly you notice some strange tracks in the mud on the trail that you're walking. Each print is about a foot long, with 3 toes, and the tracks are oddly spaced in a way that seems like the animal could be walking on 3 legs instead of 2 or 4. In this hypothetical situation, you are a trained hunter and can tell how many legs a creature has.
Great.
As you follow the tracks through the woods, you begin to hear a cry. It sounds like a banshee periodically coming through the trees. But seeing
Real
as you're the
quick.
white... Go ahead.
So sorry. I don't know what a banshee sounds like, so if you could give me your best impression right now, that'll really help me.
I feel like the mic would spike if I tried, and it would scare the people downstairs. I'll put in a sound effect. It's a loud
Great.
wail, like a loud, high-pitched wail.
Ready. I've got this.
So you hear this banshee cry coming through the trees, but seeing as you're the white guy in this horror movie, you keep going. Maybe it's just the wind. You get to a dense part of the woods where you can no longer see the tracks, and you hear a thumping noise, almost like something's jumping around in the dirt. Then you hear one last thump right behind you. When you turn around, you're greeted by these 2 flashlight-sized pink eyes, eye level with you, and suddenly you realize it's 1973, and you're still about 23 years from being born, so you cease to exist in this hypothetical situation. What do you think you've just encountered, DJ?
Well, for one thing, a whale. For another thing, 2 pink eyes. Now, I don't know what shape are these eyes? Like, are they just eye shaped? Like, I'm
Like
picturing them sticking out because you said flashlight sized, and I'm picturing flashlight shaped as well. So they're just like.
Let's go. Like, they're circles. They're circles about the size of
Okay.
like a flashlight beam.
And all I see are these eyes.
Well, before you realize that it's 1973 and you don't exist yet.
Oh, okay.
So it's 1973. It's got pink flashlight sized and shaped eyes, and it travels on 3 legs and jumps.
Okay. It is one of those dogs that got hit by a truck. It saw the truck go by, so it thought it was good, but it ran out in front of the trailer. And now it has 3 legs, and it's very tall.
It's actually that family comedy that came out in the early 2000s that had very misleading trailers, Kangaroo Jack.
Love that. I would love if Kangaroo Jack was a cryptid.
I would too. Oh my gosh. Well, hold on to that.
All right.
So what you have just encountered is the Enfield Monster. Not to be confused with the Enfield Horror, which is a poltergeist encounter that happened in England and inspired one of the Conjuring movies. And that's probably something that we'll talk about in a few weeks, but not tonight. Yeah, but you have encountered the Enfield Monster. So let's talk about Enfield. DJ, have you ever heard of Enfield, Illinois?
No, I have heard of the concept of an infield, like in baseball.
Okay.
Yeah. And I will say, if that's where the monster lives, pretty small radius.
Here's the thing. Enfield, Illinois, not a much bigger radius than an infield of a baseball diamond.
Love that. Like, I feel like if you're worried about this guy, you just throw him out at second, and then you're good to go.
Yeah. When he's trying to steal a base, just go for the kneecaps. He's got 3 of them.
Yeah, you're bound to hit one.
So Enfield, Illinois, as of 2020, when the last census was taken, had a population of 794.
16. Okay, still pretty small.
Yeah, it covers 1.19 square miles, has 262 households, so an average of 3 people per house ish. The demographics are that it is 98.5% white, 0.16% African American, 0.32% Native American, 0.16% Asian, 0.16% Hispanic or Latino, and 0.7% other.
What percent Enfield Monster?
Point like 0.01? I don't know. I think 0.01.
The math is easy, but I don't want to do it.
Yeah, yeah. The average age of somebody who lives in Enfield, Illinois is 46, and the average income for an individual who is of working age is $23,750 as of 2020. The places to visit and sites to see in Enfield, Illinois are the WP Meat Company, which raises and processes their own meat, the Billy Bob and Nina's Diner, the Stendeback Family Funeral Home, the Consolidated Grain and Barge Company, and I quote, Christian Church.
So, where'd you get that list from? That's an interesting list.
I could not find anything on the Wikipedia page. I could not find anything on TripAdvisor or anything like that. So I just got on Google Maps and looked up everything that was highlighted as a location in Enfield, Illinois.
That's really funny.
And literally, those were the 5 things.
Okay, I love that, like, Google's like, well, a lot of people meet here, so I guess you might want to come to the funeral home.
Yeah, those are the only businesses listed as being in Enfield.
Love that.
Which is great. But yeah, so this is Enfield, Illinois. Now, this takes place in 1973 specifically. So it's a specific time, a specific year in this town. Now, at the time, the population was actually a little bit higher, but not by a lot. Probably closer to like the 8 to 900. Still under 1,000, but yeah, it was a little higher than it is today in the 70s. So that's Enfield. Let's go ahead and look at a specific day. April 25th of 1973 is officially a village. Actually, by population, Enfield is a village.
Great.
So
do you know what the rule is?
I don't know what the rule is. I just know that it's listed as a village.
Love it.
Do you know the rule?
I don't.
Okay, I know that Airport Drive is a village.
Let me on it.
Which is like in between Joplin and Webb City, I think, or in between Joplin and Carl Junction or whatever.
I don't know. I'm not finding a specific law other than that this specifies Illinois. Okay, by state. Missouri, the municipalities of Missouri are cities, towns, and villages. Unlike cities, villages have no minimum population requirement. That's all it says.
Okay.
This is Illinois?
Yeah, Illinois.
Or Indiana. Illinois. A village is a type of incorporated municipality in Illinois. The other types are the city and the incorporated town. All incorporated municipalities, regardless of type, are independent of each other and cannot overlap. Villages can be created by referendum under the general state law or by special state charter. The governing body is a board of 6 elected trustees and an elected village president, all of whom are usually elected at large. Makes it sound like they're like on the run. Like, hey, you can run this village if we can't find you. Oh, man, I feel like that didn't clear anything up at all for me.
Nothing at all.
Just so that's out there.
It has 6 trustees and a president, though. So that's like 1% of the population.
So true.
With the top 1%. It was a chilly evening in the village of Enfield on April 25th of 1973. A young boy named Greg Garrett was playing outside in his backyard when he was attacked by a creature that he described as having, and I'm quoting here, no less than 3 legs, grayish, slimy skin, short claws, and reddish eyes. The creature reportedly attempted to grab his clothes, or something along those lines, and ended up stepping on his shoe as he was trying to get away, and the claws on its foot tore through the shoe with ease. Reportedly, Greg ran screaming into his parents' house, where the police were notified.
Reportedly, they say. Who can tell?
This 10-year-old was a little baby.
No, I do love no less than 3 legs. Like, I get, like, counting like, oh man, that's definitely more than 2. But, like, that his brain couldn't quickly process, like, okay, I see at least 3.
Dude, he's 10 and he lives in a village. He doesn't know math.
And it's 1973. The monster came and attacked him while he was eating lead.
I was about to say while he was eating paint chips.
Yeah, same thing. While he was eating lead, finishing it off with asbestos.
Yeah.
Just having a great time. Some Agent Orange, just living it up.
Yeah, just being an average Illinois individual.
Yeah, classic Illinoisan.
Classic Illinoisan. So that's Greg Garrett's account, and we'll get back to him in just a little bit, kind of. But not even half an hour later, the most famous sighting and the one that would actually bring the Enfield Monster to literal national acclaim would happen. So about 9:30 p.m. that night, Henry McDaniel and his wife came home and were greeted by their two children, Henry Jr. and Lil. What a name.
Henry Jr. and Lil Henry.
Your names are Junior and Small.
Love that.
It's actually Lil McDaniel. That's their rap name.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the children ran to meet their parents and told them that some kind of animal had tried to get into the house through the window, like where they had like an air conditioning unit in the window, so it tried to get in through that, and then it also tried to get in through the back door. So Henry assumed that it was probably like a stray animal of some kind. And then he heard scratching at the front door. Now he might have thought it would have been a bear or something, because black bears could have been in this area at the time. There could have been other things like just stray dogs. Could have been a big dog or something like that, because he kind of could tell it was bigger. But when he gets to the door, what he found was a lot stranger than any animal he could have imagined. He described it as a creature that had, this is quote, had 3 legs on it, a short body, 2 little short arms, and 2 pink eyes as big as flashlights. It stood 4.5 feet tall and was grayish colored. So that's end quote. That's how he describes the creature.
So I don't want
go
to
ahead.
be critical of his description, but there's not like a universal size for flashlights. So I don't know whether I'm picturing like one of these like beefy boys that has like the handle on top that you use when you want to light up like a square mile, or just like a little pen light that you're using for your hike through the woods or whatever.
So this is 1973. It's probably like closer to the big beefy ones.
Sweet.
Probably. But yeah, so he sees this creature just face to face, and he's terrified and slams the door shut before he goes to grab his pistol out of the closet and a flashlight of his own so he could put it on its eye or something. And he ended up firing. What?
So he could compare the size and make sure. Yeah. He's like, it looked about flashlight size.
That's actually what he grabbed it for. He's like, it looks like it's going to be. Is it pistol sized or flashlight sized? But yeah, so he grabs his pistol and flashlight, and he says he fired 4 shots at the creature. He said he knows he hit it with the first shot because it kind of like made a noise, but it didn't like react as though it had been shot. It just kind of like groaned or screamed. No, I'm wrong. It hissed like a bobcat. I forgot I wrote that part. When he hit it, it hissed like a bobcat, and then it jumped. In 3 leaps, it covered 50 feet before it disappeared into the trees by the railroad crossing near the house. So they live in a small house that's like real close to the railroad. And I've seen pictures of it. There's like all kinds of trees on either side of the railroad. And so this is a really rural area. And yeah, so that's kind of the situation. It does that. So he calls the authorities. And when Illinois state troopers arrive, they found 2 things, 2 pieces of physical evidence. They found scratches in the siding of the home, so something that was not just naturally there, like it looked like something had clawed at it. And they found strange footprints that they think belonged to this creature. Now, the footprints are described as being similar to like a dog's, in that they're like padded footprints. However, instead of having like, because dogs have 4 toe pads on their paws,
4 legs.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It had 6 instead of like the normal amount that are on a dog's footprint. And it had they were oddly spaced so that 2 of them were about 4 inches wide, and the third one was just like 2 inches wide. So one was about half the size of the other 2. And so it definitely had at least 2 legs, with one foot being significantly larger than the other, but it looked like 3-legged. It had been described twice as 3-legged, and that's just kind of what they found.
I have a theory.
Okay.
But I coughed before I could share the theory. Had some Sprite went down the wrong pipe.
Gotcha.
Anyways, my theory is that there is one of those people in Enfield, Illinois, is a mad scientist, and he was trying to make the sequel to Dogs, but it bombed at the box office.
Dogs?
Yeah, he's just trying to make the next iteration of Dogs. So it's a mad scientist failed next Dog.
Is that like the movie where the dogs are like secret agents?
You're thinking Cats and Dogs.
Okay.
But when I said sequel, I just meant sequel to the animal. Yeah,
I
you're
was
good.
like, what movie are we on? I haven't heard of this one. There's probably a movie out there called Dogs, though.
I bet there is.
The sequel to the acclaimed movie with Josh Hutcherson in it, Good Boy. It was a great movie. Anywho, the footprints, paw prints were similar to like a dog, but they had 6 toe pads, and the first, like I said, first 2 were 4 inches. The other was a little bit smaller. So, despite having 2 reports made to the police in quick succession, the police really didn't know what they could do about it, especially because there's like so little physical evidence. The creature's nowhere to be seen. Like, they go to the tracks and they search the area. They can't find anything. So they're just kind of like, well, cool. You saw something. I mean, what else are they going to do?
I'm sure there isn't like cryptid training at the police academy.
Especially for the Illinois State Troopers in 1970.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, actually, I don't know. I'd believe almost anything in the 70s.
That's true. They were eating lead.
Yeah. But anyways, that happens. Things are pretty calm. There are a bunch of publications the next day, over the next few days, in like newspapers in the state of Illinois, essentially talking about it. But it doesn't really get too far outside the state of Illinois. And even in Illinois, there's not too much hubbub about it all. Fast forward 2 weeks to May 6th of 1973. Henry McDaniel, once again, is awoken at 3 a.m. by some strange noises outside. When he goes outside to see what's happening, he sees the creature once again just hopping around by the train tracks, just kind of like loitering, jumping around. In his own words, quote, "I saw something moving out on the railroad track, and there it stood. I didn't shoot at it or anything. It started on down the railroad track. It wasn't in a hurry or nothing."
I have a theory. Sorry. So it's bothered this guy twice, right?
Yeah.
And it's called the Enfield Monster.
Yeah.
So we've talked before about how Stephen King loves the idea of like Indian burial grounds.
Okay.
So I'm guessing that this guy's house was built on an old Indian baseball field, and that's why this creature is haunting him.
It's as believable as theory as the ones we're going to get to eventually.
Great.
So McDaniel at this point, though, starts to make more of a fuss about the creature and his 2 encounters with it, which draws reporters, a famous cryptozoologist, and hunters to the small town. This was
name drop. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Could you name drop the cryptozoologist?
I will in a minute, actually. It becomes
Deal.
pertinent here in a few minutes.
Deal.
So it draws reporters, a famous cryptozoologist, and hunters to the small town. This was, in no uncertain terms, unwelcome by the town, by the village. And the sheriff, Roy Poshard Jr., ended up threatening McDaniel with incarceration if he didn't stop running his mouth.
Is that the wording from like the article or whatever?
No, I ad-libbed a little bit there.
That's right. No, that's great. I love that.
Yeah. And so that's where we're going to leave off for the moment. But before we dive into some of the other aftermath and the final sighting, we have a word from today's sponsor.
All right. So Gage and I are doing fake ad reads. This is the first one. Welcome, y'all. I've not read this yet. I'm doing this on the fly. Tired of mysterious creatures lurking in your yard? Sick of unexplained claw marks on your siding and suspicious 3-toed footprints in the mud? Introducing Enfield Monster Home Security, the only security system certified by the monster himself. We've teamed up with the Enfield Monster to keep other cryptids out, with motion-activated floodlights, thermal cameras, and a 7-foot-tall creature that hisses at intruders. Your home is safer than Fort Knox. That's right, every system comes with a custom-recorded monster growl, and our exclusive triple honk, that's right, honk, 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 warning system will have even Bigfoot second-guessing your property line. Enfield Monster not responsible for scaring mailmen, pizza delivery drivers, or in-laws. Product may cause neighbors to move. So why wait? Call 1-800-MONSTER now and use promo code 3TOAD-FURY, Fury, not furry, 3TOAD-FURY for 20% off your first cryptid deterrent system. Enfield Home Security. We bring the cryptid, so you don't have to. That's good work, Gage.
Thanks. And now back to the show.
And now back to the show. Back to your regularly scheduled programming.
So before the sheriff was able to get to McDaniel, ultimately before he was able to like get him to stop, he had already called the radio station for Kokomo, Indiana. Don't know why that's the one he called, but it is. It's probably like right across the border or something.
Yeah, I'm Googling this.
But he called the radio station for Kokomo, Indiana, WWKI. And that was on May 6th. So he sees it at 3 a.m. Not long later calls WWKI, this radio station. And then the same day, May 6th, the news director of the radio station, would you get this? His name is Rick Rainbow.
Love that. Good for Rick.
So the news director of the radio station, Rick Rainbow, and 3 unnamed individuals went to Enfield for themselves to see what they could find. The story goes that Rainbow and co. found a creature that fit the description they had been given in an abandoned building near McDaniel's house, but they were able to do something that nobody else was up to this point. At least reportedly. According to the story and the newspaper reports, they recorded the sound of the creature's cry. This was later attested to by Loren Coleman. Now, I've mentioned Loren Coleman before. He's one of the authors of one of my main resources for this series, Cryptozoology A to Z. And in the world of cryptozoology, he's kind of a big deal. So having his stamp on something doesn't necessarily make it like real, but it adds validity to the world of, like in the world of cryptozoology. And this is what he had to say about the Enfield Monster. He mentions it a couple of times, but this is the main quote that he has to say about the Enfield Monster. I traveled to Enfield, interviewed the witnesses, looked at the sighting of the house the Enfield Monster had damaged, heard some strange, screeching, banshee-like sounds, and walked away bewildered. That's it.
Great.
However, 2 things. This recording is not currently anywhere. Like, nobody knows where it is. I was scouring the internet for it. Reddit believes that it could be in the Smithsonian.
We'll make a trip next time we're in the neighborhood.
The other theory is that it was maybe taken by Men in Black.
Let me correct my face here. Okay, yeah, I believe that maybe.
And somehow, even though this book right here, Cryptozoology A to Z, the Encyclopedia of Loch Ness Monsters, Sasquatches, Chupacabras, and Other Authentic Mysteries of Nature by Loren Coleman and Jeremy Clark, this book right here does not mention the Enfield Monster.
What are you hiding, Loren?
Like, that's the thing, is I could only find random quotes that he made in reference to other cryptids, and then this one little thing about going to Enfield and being bewildered.
Also,
there are short entries in this. Like, there are entries that are literally just this other creature.
Yeah, it's space.
Yeah, like, look at Loch Ness Monster instead of Champy or whatever.
Yeah. I want the people that are watching, you're going to see the title of this video, and you're going to see that Enfield is spelled Enfield. And every time I make a joke about baseball fields, you're going to think that guy's a stupid idiot who doesn't know how infield is spelled. I want the record to show I didn't know that the town name started with an E until I saw this ad read. And I just want that out there for my ego. That's all I have to say.
Great. So yeah, Rick Rainbow sees it. At some point, Loren Coleman listens to the recording and attests that the recording exists.
Great. Maybe.
A few days later, I think it's like 2 days after Rick Rainbow came, so like May 8th, there was a group of 5 hunters who were arrested for shooting in the community, just like in public during the day. They claimed that they were looking for the Enfield Monster to take pictures of it, but they brought guns for protection. And the sheriff had the theory that they had probably just been drinking and causing trouble, and the monster was a good cover story. Yeah. So the next few months would see crowds coming to find the creature for themselves, but largely the sightings and encounters with the Enfield Monster pretty much dried up. Like, it was just a couple of weeks in 1973 that people saw this thing.
He was in town for a little bit, and then Peaced out to the outfield.
If you build it, they will come. Monsters in the Infield, my favorite movie.
Love that.
So that does beg the question, though. What is it? I've got some theories.
Me too.
Go ahead. Say some of your theories.
I've already said them. Sequel to Dogs, angry Native American spirit.
Okay.
That's a comprehensive list.
Yeah, it's a pretty
Also,
good list.
just like a weird dude. Just like some strange guy.
That's three-leg Larry.
It's three-leg Larry. Yes.
That's not one of the theories, but that's great. Okay, so
Right.
I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 5 theories.
Okay.
So the first theory, and again in no particular order, this is just how I wrote them, is that it might be a spiritual being, potentially a demon. I have no notes, but that's what some people believed. The second theory, it was an extraterrestrial, an alien of some kind. Apparently, the sighting coincided with some other UFO sightings in the area. It could have been another cryptid that is just being, that wasn't recognized as one of these other cryptids. It was compared to the devil ape, which I didn't do any research on. It was also compared to the Mount Vernon monster of the 90s, which was said to have looked like a baboon and jumped great distances. I don't know anybody who would describe a baboon as being three-legged with pink eyes, but you know what? Here we go.
I've seen baboons in person. Yeah, I wouldn't describe them like that. I'd focus on the butt in my description. Yeah, very colorful.
There was also the Murfreesboro monster, which was 6 weeks after this. There was a monster sighted in Murfreesboro that had not really similar descriptions, but vaguely similar descriptions, mostly just being a big gray thing that was in the area at the same time. And then pretty much actually for the rest of the summer, people all throughout Illinois saw something. There was the Pump House monster was what one of them was called. There were like the Muddy Creek monster. There was the Murfreesboro monster. There was the Enfield monster. People were just all kinds of things people were seeing throughout the summer. And that leads into the last one, the last theory, but I have one more before I want to get to that one. Actually, I could go ahead and do that one next. Go ahead.
Quick question.
Yeah.
So, did this monster respect the boundary lines of the state? Because you said all throughout Illinois. Is it like you will not catch me dead in Indiana? Like, I'm just trying to make sure I understand.
So here's the thing. There's Murfreesboro, apparently Illinois. There's Murfreesboro in North Tennessee too. But the only problem there is that Kentucky is in between Tennessee and Illinois.
It skipped. It just hopped over.
It just hopped. And this describes Murfreesboro as only being like 20 miles south of Enfield. All I found was in Illinois.
If it was only in Illinois, then that maybe hurts the credibility a little bit, unless it was some creature that had a great respect for state boundaries.
So the theory that I'm going to make the last theory now might actually make that a little interesting potentially if we just like tease it out enough, and you'll understand why when we get to it. The fourth theory is social contagion. DJ, do you know what that means?
Of course. My guess is that kid number 1 says, "Hey, I saw a pink monster with nipple eyes." And then all of a sudden Henry is running around, his kids are running around, and they're like, "I heard about the nipple eye monster." And so they're freaking out about it too. And then all of a sudden everybody's freaking out about the nipple monster.
That's not entirely wrong.
Is it entirely right?
It's very right for this theory. So there was a paper published in the late 1970s called A Critical Examination of the Social Contagion Image of Collective Behavior, the Case of the Enfield Monster. So social contagion is oftentimes called mass hysteria. It's essentially an example of people losing their senses momentarily because of stories, rumors, and the like being perpetuated by media sources or those in authority. So for example, if one guy says, "I saw the Enfield monster," and it gets published in the news, or that you hear a police officer talking about that, and you see something that you can't explain, or like you just glimpse a bear, but you can't tell what it is, your mind immediately goes to the Enfield monster.
Yeah.
So that's just a very short, condensed version of what social contagion is. Now,
Love it.
this was a study done, and an academic paper was written by David Miller, Kenneth Mietis, and Richard Mathers of Western Illinois University in 19. It could have been written before, but that's when it was published. It ultimately claimed that this was possible, but they found that what they found is that only 3 people actually claimed to have seen the creature, and the rest of the accounts that were given were just people getting caught up in the stories. In favor of this theory, Mr. McDaniel was notoriously kind of eccentric. He was actually a veteran, and he was kind of known to go off into tall tales, maybe even more than eccentric. The young boy,
Weird.
Greg Garrett, apparently later told a reporter that he made his story up to make fun of McDaniel. I don't know how that happened, but in the order that it happened, but apparently, like, he told a reporter
Maybe
that.
maybe McDaniel had told him the story before already. Like maybe he's at McDonald's. I don't know, McDonald's, and this old veteran is like, "Hey kid, I've got a story for you." And then the kid was like, "I'm gonna be first to the press."
I mean, maybe.
Get it, Greg?
This does kind of call the timeline into question. But, anyways, the physical evidence, at least now, is essentially all gone. I mean, like, a scratch in your
Yeah,
siding could have happened anywhere. Garrett could have torn his shoe on, pretty much anything. It was the 70s. He probably had a sword back there. Who knows?
so true.
And,
Lead.
and the footprints could have been faked. Like, that's a pretty easy thing to fake, I think. It could have just been a couple of dogs stepping in the same spot multiple times or something. Who knows? So, what we really end up having at the end of the day is one guy claiming that he saw and shot at this creature, which could have been something else. And I'm going to get
Yeah,
to that for my final theory and my favorite theory. And a radio newsman claiming he recorded it, but we have no known copy of the recording. And this
actually,
leads us.
I have like 4K footage of Bigfoot somewhere. I promise.
Yeah, see, I actually I caught the Jersey Devil himself in a cage, and it's in a basement at my girlfriend's house. She doesn't go here; you wouldn't know her.
Promise.
So my favorite theory. I want to say before I start this one, thank you to the Unresolved podcast for giving me a lot of this information. I'm horribly condensing what you said. Go check out their episode for a more in-depth explanation of this theory, but I love this theory. It's a kangaroo.
Love it.
So, 2 days after the first sighting, when McDaniel is talking to a newspaper reporter, without being asked, he tells them, I'm sure it wasn't a kangaroo.
Okay. Don't go
Because
looking around my shed.
he had a pet kangaroo when he was stationed in Australia. On May 16th of 1973, so just a few weeks after all of this happens, there's a man named Alan Yorkshire who
Uh-huh.
lived in Ohio who sent a letter to the Enfield newspaper. You know what's funny about that? The Enfield newspaper doesn't exist. So it just goes to the post office. And this
Love that.
letter that got sent to the post office says that he owned a pet kangaroo that went missing a year earlier that was named Macy. And then on July 28th of 1973, McDaniel had another interview published with a radio station where he again says it's not a kangaroo. And it's sure because once he had one as a pet until he sold it to a man with a traveling animal show. This sounds like a different story than the one about him being in the service in Australia.
I want to say, I guess I want to find and hear this interview if it's at all possible, because I feel like it'd be really interesting to hear just like, so tell us more about this creature that you've seen. It's not a kangaroo. I know what you're thinking. Shut up. It's not. It's not a kangaroo. I would know. I had one. It's not. Like,
Yeah, but you could surmise if you do the math. And this is all alleged, like there's no way to prove it at this point, but it's possible that he had stolen a kangaroo from a man in Ohio to keep as a pet, got to a point where he just really didn't feel like he could take care of it anymore, or he bought it from someone who stole it. I don't know, but he ended up with this dude's kangaroo. Macy was the kangaroo's name. realized he couldn't really properly take care of it. And so he needed to come up with a story for why people might see a kangaroo in the area. And he just let it go or sold it to somebody who had a traveling animal show. But he wanted to tell the story of why someone would have been like, I think that guy has a kangaroo. He's like, no, it was a three-legged monster.
I've seen a kangaroo.
I've seen a kangaroo.
I've
Its
seen a
face is
three-legged
longer.
monster. Yeah. Okay, I think that's a very compelling theory. I don't know that it has to be Macy. Like,
Yeah.
this guy's like, hey, I'm really just kind of holding out for, like, doing all my options here. Could you please return my kangaroo if you have it? And it's just some other kangaroo. Some stray kangaroo.
Yeah, this one was actually Mike.
Love that. I would, like, how many kangaroos do you think it would take, just like loose, for kangaroos to become an American animal? Because I'm not saying that I'm going to do it.
It depends on where. So
Yeah.
they survive well in Australia, so they could probably survive anywhere.
Yeah.
I'm thinking Texas,
That's not a bad option.
maybe Arizona, New Mexico, somewhere like that. I say we
Bring in
just
like
set
5
like,
of them.
I don't know about 5. I'd say like, because there are predators there still that might be able to ambush.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like
Are there
tigers
predators
don't live there.
worse
What am I
than
thinking of?
Australia? Like, they
That's a good point.
survive in Australia.
I think if you let 10 loose, that might be enough, like to just make them an American thing after a couple generations.
No reason. Asking for a friend.
Asking for a friend. But yeah, so that's just a theory. There's a bunch of theories here. I think anything's plausible. I do think that you could combine the kangaroo theory with the social contagion theory.
Oh, yeah,
Essentially,
for sure.
though, like social contagion, even if it's a kangaroo, if it's not a kangaroo, social contagion is the most compelling one for me, mostly just because the idea that like one guy sees this thing and then is like, I saw a thing, and he's already kind of eccentric, and then people kind of just go along with it. There was apparently a report of a girl who worked in a diner at the time who was like, yeah, that's Mr. McDaniel, or something along those lines. Like, she just kind of laughed it
That's
off
funny.
when someone asked her about it. And so it's one of those things that's like, yeah, like it probably was just a guy being a little silly and people going
Yeah.
along with it. Yeah. However, as of today, there are 2 things that I have found pretty interesting. The first, the Enfield Monster is a featured card in the trading card game MetaZoo Cryptid Nation, and boy howdy do I need to get into this trading card game. Also, I've noticed at this point, every time we've done one of these, the end is essentially me just being like, yeah, this is what I think it is, and it's not a cryptid.
That's funny. We believe, though. Don't you worry,
Yeah,
Mr. McDaniels.
which is funny because like I'm the cryptid guy.
Yeah.
I'm the guy who was apparently arguing about how my aunt had seen Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
so
I'm DJ. Welcome to Everything But the Cats.
yeah. But yeah, so that's cool. I need those cards. The second thing is maybe I was wrong. And maybe the Enfield Monster is real. Because on May 17th, 2022, Zach Starrick of the Southern Illinois Monster Hunters made this post. Folks, after tonight, I can stand before you and tell you this. The Enfield Monster is not dead. It is very much alive and well in White County, Illinois. I was on my way home after bow fishing for gar. By the way, bow fishing for gar? What the heck?
One man.
Yeah, I was on my way home after bow fishing for gar up along the Wabash,
Don't know.
Wabash River in upstate Southern Illinois. What a funny.
Upstate Southern Illinois. You were in the middle?
Up out of the ditch came a creature that's back would have measured level with the hood of my '03 Ford Ranger. It was gray in color, like elephant skin, was completely hairless, had its arms tucked up like a raptor would in Jurassic Park movies, sort of a reptilian head with a long snout, and it was running up on 2 feet and had a third leg drawn up like a tail. It cleared a 2-lane blacktop in about 5 to 6 strides and was back off the opposite side of the road, and it was gone. I can say to you now, after tonight, the Enfield Monster is real as you and me, and this thing is alive and well in southern Illinois.
That's just Leapin' Larry.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's interesting, at least, because and this is an actual group. Like the Southern Illinois Monster Hunters is a real group of
Good for them.
people who like hunt for monsters that like cryptids and the like. I checked to their website and they were talking about like Bigfoot and other things. This post was from a couple years ago, so I didn't like go that far back. I
Yeah.
found this actually on a Reddit post as well. But yeah, that's what I have for the Enfield monster. It may be real. There may be something
Yeah.
unexplained out there. It could just be a very long-lived kangaroo. Or maybe
Yeah.
kangaroos are a species that is alive and well in the United States.
That'd be beautiful.
And they've picked Southern Illinois as their stomping grounds.
Ooh, okay, yeah. I was looking and I was like, okay, maybe kangaroos just live a really long time. They do not. 6 to 8 years in the wild, up to 20 years in captivity, 20 years or more in captivity.
Okay, well, it's been 50.
So yeah, that's definitely someone else's. That's definitely a different kangaroo.
Yeah, this isn't Macy.
Yeah,
This is Chad. Actually,
this
no,
is
let's go
Macy
with a
Jr.
stereotypical Macy the
Little.
Third.
Yeah.
I was going to say a stereotypical like Australian name. This is Chris Hemsworth, actually.
That's the most stereotypical one. Steve Irwin.
This is Crikey.
That's pretty good. That's not a kangaroo. This is a kangaroo.
These are my three favorite Australian people: Crikey, Barbie, and Boomerang.
Love it. By Skrillex.
Bangarang, that's a good song. It aged so well. All of Skrillex stuff did.
Yep.
Skrillex still performs at like EDM concerts and raves and stuff. So
All by himself.
that's what it's do.
Good for him.
Anywho, that's the Enfield Monster. Is it real? Is it not? Say below in the comments whether or not you think it is.
It isn't.
It isn't, probably, but there have apparently been recent sightings of it. I found a couple people also on Reddit saying that, like, yeah, my dad told me how he saw it in the 80s, or, you know, like somebody I know said they saw it at some point. No firsthand accounts other than this guy. So I think it's pretty safe to say that this is just a weird little piece of American folklore. And that's ultimately what we want to get down with, because that's the fun stuff in these creatures unseen. We never did an intro.
No, that's okay. You know what we should do as an episode sometime?
What's that?
It's another kind of like it's similar to a cryptid. I'm going to preface with that. Similar to a cryptid. It's not a cryptid. It's just similar. I'm going to move my camera.
The Summerween Trickster.
No. So it's similar in that there are no first-hand accounts of it. All that we have is like, oh yeah, I know someone that knows someone that knew someone that knows about that. Boatman 5.
We got to get 3 other guys who were in Boatman with us for that episode.
That'd be a great episode.
We got to get 3 of the guys who are the people who know someone who knows someone who knows someone.
Yeah. Well, but like, here's the thing. I've probably mentioned this before recently, but like, there was one time. So I feel like we show up at Ozark, and it's this thing that happened like just a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But then one time, I casually make a joke about it in front of Michael DeFazio for some reason, and he's like, "Oh, that was a long time ago. That was around that was shortly before I got to Ozark." And
what?
So, yeah. So my theory is that one of two things. One, it never happened. 2, it did, but it was someone in like 1945. But the reason is that the upperclassmen always tell the story like, yeah, so just a few years ago, this happened, and then like new upperclassmen come, and like, yeah, just a few years ago, this happened. So, anyways, It's a cryptid. It is a 10-legged monstrosity, an affront to God,
an abomination, you might say.
An abomination, you might say.
Wow.
Anyways, hi everybody. Welcome to Everything But the Cats, the only show where we are guaranteed to talk about everything, every single thing, none of the not things, except for the one thing, which is the cats. I'm DJ.
And I'm Gage.
And now we're gonna end the show. You can splice that in at the beginning if you want to.
I'm gonna do my best to, but I probably will just leave it at the end like that.
Now let's get the show started. Now that we've
Yeah.
gotten through all the intro.
Now for the fun part.
Yeah. Uh,
What are you into,
well, thank you
DJ?
guys. Oh yeah, what am I into? Last episode, I said that I would read Everything is Tuberculosis by John Green before we got to this episode, and I did. So, good book, worth a read. I was kind of slamming it, but it was good. Yeah, would recommend it. There were a few things that I highlighted. I think that something that John Green mentions in the book and in like his videos, and I've started to see elsewhere as I like see quotes and stuff like that, is the idea that a lot of disasters are like the result of like social constructs. And so a lot of people are still dying of tuberculosis today because like even though there are pretty reliable cures, they just don't have access to them because they're in a country that doesn't have access to those. And so like tuberculosis is a catastrophe and is terrible, but like it's not terrible because there's no cure and because there's no way. It's because of social constructs.
Mm.
Or like if you hear about like earthquakes killing thousands of people or whatever, like that was a catastrophe and was terrible. But a lot of times it's worse because the people don't have like good, safe housing
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that, or like good access to stuff afterwards. And so I feel like that's something kind of interesting to think through, is like questioning like, okay, this thing happened, what are the social things that really we could have done something and we could do something in the future to help mitigate that. What about you, Gage?
Interesting. This is a repeat, but it's because since we last recorded, though not necessarily since you last saw an episode, this book is officially for sale now. So you can get it on Amazon. The Sea and the Sword by Levi Qualls. We did an episode with him a month or so ago at this point, and it was really fun to sit down and talk to him about the book, about writing and things like that. And DJ and I both have a copy of the book now. Go get yourself a copy. Go get it. It's at some local bookstores in the Fort Scott area, if that's where you're from. And it's just really good. I love this book, and I'm so excited for whatever he's going to write next. And he is going to write more books, potentially at least one, potentially more. So be on the lookout for that. But also get yourself a copy of The Sea and the Sword by Levi Qualls. And hey, you know what? Okay, this is a solid thing. We're planning on having him back on at some point. He's down with that. If DJ and I finish the book and have him on for another episode, like we're both done, we're ready to have him back on to talk about the book again. If you get yourself a copy and read it, send us questions that you think would be fun for him to answer or for us to discuss about the book in the episode.
Love that.
Leave them in the comments below. Send them to us at nocatspod@gmail.com. Send it to us on our social medias. We've got Instagram, TikTok, Facebook now. And we do have a Twitter account. I've posted on there twice, ever.
Ask
and most
Grok
of you
about us.
Yeah, ask Rock about us. Most of you know us personally anyways, so just tell us. But yeah, that's what I'm into. DJ, actually, real quick, thank you to Jacob Casey for our intro music, and Kona. We've had him on a couple of times as well. I really love our friend. And Adam Ward and Jared Scrother normally for our intro and outro music. Thank you to those guys as well. We just worked with Jacob for the series, and it's really fun to be able to work with different friends who make music. Go check out all of those guys. They're all doing really cool things. Adam and Jacob are both on Spotify. I believe Apple Music as well. I think Jacob's everywhere you can listen to music, and I think Adam is too. Jared doesn't. I don't think Jared has any music published, but he does have like a bunch of video stuff that he does and that he's working on, and it's really cool because he's just really artistic and he's very good at that stuff. And he's also in the process of, I believe, editing a book that he's written so that he can publish it. So go check out those guys. They're all doing a lot of really cool stuff. I'll leave links to them in the description below. Go check out that Unresolved episode. I'll leave a link to that as well. But yeah, those are my thank yous. DJ, do you have any thank yous?
Huge shout out for everyone who's still listening. Garrett, maybe my mom. She commented on a video recently.
She did.
It's always scary when family lets me know that they're listening.
Bro, when
generally nice.
when I posted it on Facebook, and I just invited everybody. Like, I just invited my entire friends list. I was like, wait, is there anybody on our friends list that I don't feel comfortable with watching this? Not really.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about it. It's like the old ladies at church and stuff.
Yeah.
Just kind of like, well, yeah.
That wasn't for you.
Brayton, probably.
No, yeah. I was going to say you. Garrett, Brayton, my mom.
Jake, probably still. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Jake, thank you. I should have made those eyes with a brighter red, is what I'm seeing on the Mothman. It's harder to see over here. But anyways, thank you guys for listening.
It's also a lighting thing. I have bad lighting.
That's true. Nah, that's fine. If you don't like my thanks, you can always go thank yourselves. We'll see you next week.